But first, we continue our fight for transparency in the botched response to the Robb Elementary School shooting that killed 19 students and 2 teachers back in May of 2022.
Over the last 2 years, we have pushed authorities to release records. Our parent company has been involved in lawsuits to compel the release of information. So far, we've received hours of police body camera footage, 911 calls, and other documents. We've gotten information from the City of Uvalde, the Department of Justice, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection, but still nothing from the Texas Department of Public Safety.
DPS and other agencies waited 77 minutes to confront the gunman inside 2 adjoining classrooms, and to this day it remains the deadliest school shooting in Texas history.
Today, DPS was in court once again trying to keep its documents and footage from that deadly day from the public.
We're joined now by News 4 San Antonio's Matt Roy, and I guess a big question today, Matt, what happened in the courtroom?
Well, Mandy, Jonathan, today there was oral arguments presented to the Texas Appellate Court. DPS fighting to keep their records out of the public eye, while lawyers on the other side fight to get this massive amount of information out in the open.
My friends on the other side have raised a couple of arguments against that, but they're wrong about all of them.
If this court does what they are asking, as Justice Ferris has brought up, they would be cloaking in secrecy the entire investigative file forever.
The fight was on Wednesday morning in Austin as the battle for transparency continued. In June of 2023, a judge ruled in favor of transparency, issuing a summary judgment demanding that DPS begin releasing their files regarding the Uvalde school shooting. DPS then filed an appeal. DPS then finished their investigative report in February, and now the appeal was heard today, with the fate of the case falling in the hands of the appellate court. The argument from DPS is that they cannot turn over the information because it would hurt their investigation.
No good investigator worth his or her salt is going to turn over information that could interfere with the prosecution while the prosecution is ongoing.
At that point, Justice April Ferris intervened.
This is starting to sound like everything, though. I mean, at some point we have to draw a line.
Meantime, Laura Prather, who's representing the media companies who are suing for this information, is arguing that this information needs to be released to the public.
So we're talking about the most significant law enforcement failure in Texas's history, that they would like to cloak in secrecy forever.
Now we wait. The appeal court's decision could take weeks or even months. No matter how long this takes to rule, though, this case could be appealed once again by either side to the Texas Supreme Court. So this battle for transparency is far from over. Reporting in the studio, I'm Matt Roy, News 4 San Antonio.
All right, Matt, thank you, sir. We, of course, will continue our efforts to get all of the information involving the Robb Elementary School tragedy released to the public.
In a lawsuit with multiple media agencies, including our parent company, Sinclair Broadcasting, we received files involving the massacre being made public from the City of Uvalde, Uvalde CISD, and Uvalde County.
The City of Uvalde has been the only one to comply with our order, at least so far. In fact, we have a timeline of who's released records over the last 2 years.
Information involving the failed police response was only made public this year. The U.S. Department of Justice released its critical incident review in January. It reviewed 14,000 pieces of data and conducted 260 interviews to compile this report.
It wasn't until after the 2-year mark that the City of Uvalde released its documents related to the massacre under the TPIA court order. Days later, UPD found dozens of those videos were missing from the initial records release.
The next month, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection released files which include audio transcripts and a 203-page report. It tried to conduct interviews with other agencies in its report, but many of those agencies declined.
Weeks later, the City of Uvalde released the remainder of the police dash cam and body cam footage. About 49 pieces of video were finally made available to the public. This following a full audit of the Uvalde police servers to see if anything was overlooked.
And we're also following the path to justice for the sake of those directly impacted by the tragedy. Out of almost 400 officers responding to the shooting that day, still only 2 are indicted.
Just last month, former Uvalde CISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo filed a motion to quash the criminal indictments he's facing in connection to the mass shooting there at Robb Elementary. Arredondo was indicted on 10 counts of felony child endangerment and abandonment in June of 2024. Law enforcement officials, that is, waited 77 minutes to breach the classroom on the day of the shooting. Arredondo's attorney says he didn't do anything against the law. Former Uvalde CISD police officer Adrian Gonzalez also charged with 29 counts of felony child endangerment and abandonment.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to get all the latest news right here.